Female or male, boy or girl, that's how most of us identify ourselves. The gender we're assigned with at birth will dictate the clothes we wear, the pronouns we use and the choices we make. But what if you don't or couldn't identify as male or female? Well, studies in the US have shown that more teens than ever are questioning their gender identity. And there are terms for this: gender fluid, non-binary or agender. In fact, Facebook now has 56 gender identity options. So what does gender actually mean in 2016? Well, to discuss this, we'll be joined shortly by Maria Miller, a British Conservative MP who recently made headlines when she stated that gender was now irrelevant. First, let's hear from three teens in Australia who are pushing the gender boundaries. Lateline's Tierney Benini went along to meet them.
When I look into the mirror, I see my identity. I see everything that I am made up of. Just as if a female would look into a mirror and see femininity, I look into a mirror and I just see androgynous. Like, I don't see a specific gender. It was a long period of time that I sort of figured that I didn't quite fit into male or female. It wasn't just an overnight thing that I decided. And I researched non-binary genders on YouTube and discovered that it was actually a real thing, that people could identify as something other than boy or girl. Non-binary people are constantly invalidated and ignored and completely eradicated from a lot of things, like just everyday life, with the terms like ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And it's a time we often feel really uncomfortable in a lot of situations. Bathrooms are a really big problem because there's hardly ever any gender neutral ones, so I either have to pick female or male bathrooms. School uniform is also something that makes me really uncomfortable, in that the uniform is usually gendered and the uniform at my school is gendered. So all the girls are supposed to wear a blouse and a skirt and the boys wear shorts and polo shirts. I really tried to be feminine and I didn't feel comfortable with it inside, but I just tried to push that away. I was like, there's no way I can't be a girl. My mum coming to terms with my identity has been a bit of a rocky path. I remember her telling me that she always wanted a little girl, even before I was born. And then the fact that I was born a girl and I had all these fun times with her doing feminine things, and then all of a sudden I didn't want to conform to femininity and I didn't want to be a girl anymore. That's what it sort of came across as to her. Luckily, she is very accepting and understanding, and she knows that my identity is valid, and she knows that how I feel is something that is genuine, but it's taking time. Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about different types of non-binary genders. I personally identify as agender, but there are...
I've always had a bit of a problem with being a boy, and when I found other people who identified as non-binary, that solved confusion for me and gave me some solidity in my identity.
The first thing was, what does non-binary mean? Because it was not a term that I had ever heard. Part of them telling me that they were non-binary also meant that they didn't like being referred to as he or him. So their preferred pronoun was them or they. I also refer to them as my child, not my son, because that is how they identify.
Coming out to people is difficult, so I often have to deny my identity when talking to other people, especially new people, so that I don't have to go through the whole talk about what it all means. And it's kind of balancing between the effort of having to explain all of it and the pain of denying my identity. I do enjoy cooking with you, Mum. It's relaxing.
For people to understand a person that feels like they're a female trapped in a male's body or a male trapped in a female's body is a lot easier to understand than somebody who doesn't identify as one or the other.
The staff and the school itself has been a bit more open about it. To people that would say that it's just a phase, I can ask you, is you know, wearing dresses a phase? Is you being a woman or a man a phase? You know, will you identify as transgender in a few years' time?
I just think as a parent, you need to be accepting and listen to your child.
I think it was when I was 10, I went to Mum and I said, "Mum, I don't think I'm a girl." And she's just like, "Oh, do you think you're a boy?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." And that's when we started talking to our doctors about it, trying to figure out a way that would make me feel more comfortable in my body. And after a while, we got in with the children's hospital, but we were on the wait list for a long time. During that time, I was browsing on the internet and I found something that said, "I'm not a boy, I'm not a girl, I'm not both, I'm not neither, I'm gender fluid." And that's when I realized, oh, that's what it is. That is what I identify as. It's quite random. Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be like, oh, I don't know. And then halfway through the day I'll be like, okay, I still don't know, maybe we'll have to wait. But sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm definitely a girl, and it can just be month by month or day by day. And it changes a lot. Yeah.
She's still Annie, but it just means some days Annie's a boy and some days Annie's a girl, and some days she's both. There are days where I'll go, I don't know if I'm using the right pronoun today. I don't know if we go shopping, like, let's go buy some clothes, mother and daughter bonding, and it can be very difficult. Shopping with teenagers is hard anyway. Shopping with a child that might be a boy, might be a girl, shopping can be very confronting, finding clothing that suits the mood they're in that day. Annie's primary school graduation, and the kids were expected to dress nicely for the evening, and so we went out to the shops and I'm like, oh, we'll get a nice dress. It's graduation, you wear a nice dress. But then we also went and bought a nice suit because we didn't know if Annie would feel like a boy or a girl on the evening.
There was some points where I was, for almost months at a time, feminine or masculine, very specifically. And that's where it gets confusing because you start to doubt yourself a lot, whether you actually are gender fluid.
Oh, there's the dress you wore to graduation? Maybe. What about, the suit jacket? Nice shirt underneath.
Being misgendered a lot is part of being gender fluid, and it's something you get used to. But if you constantly say, you're a girl, and you put me into that box, I will feel very, very hurt, because I do identify as gender fluid, meaning on some days I do feel very, very masculine. I feel like I am a boy. There's nothing you can do about it.
Okay. Did you want to give the pink one a go?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, not a pink day. Cool.
No. Gender is a construct, but why do we rely on it so heavily as a personality thing?